In the haste of hosting the Thanksgiving holiday for my family, I left my speech notes on my desk in California. Yet, in a bittersweet and perhaps fateful way, it felt more poignant to recollect my thoughts here in Guam. I had time to share with my cousins, my classmates, dear friends, and our people. It's been an honor. I trust you enjoyed a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. And now look forward to the upcoming Christmas holiday. It's always precious to gather with family and friends. When my immediate family gathers together for such events, we tend to have like a table topic. And a few years ago, on a Cabo vacation, it was my turn. And there must have been some Marvel movie out or something, because I asked, if you could select one superpower, what would it be? What would be your superpower? There were some really good ones. I'll give you some examples and then my thoughts on it. So we had invisibility, kind of creepy. Mind reader, dangerous. Super jumper, super interesting. Healer, helpful. Teleporter, efficient, especially when you're commuting to Guam. Maximum empathy, well, joy and sorrow. An inventor, where do I invest? However, the one superpower that we all coalesced around was this: an education. The desire to be educated and remain educated should always be part of your arsenal of superpowers. My mother used to say, an education is an open mind. We learn in so many ways. From the classroom, from our parents, from our elders, from friends, from colleagues, from experience, and from falling down and getting up. I often shared with my daughter, if anything, you must always get up, dress up, and show up. I lived across the street from the Agate Library. My mom had to work to support us, so Mom enrolled us in the library summer reading program. I didn't mind this because the Agate Library had air conditioning. They had a summer book reading competition. Of course, I enrolled, but I was always second because my first cousin was always first. Nonetheless, through Mom's library daycare, I learned an affinity for reading, for books, and for knowledge. I know it sounds antiquated, but my mom got me the Junior Encyclopedia Britannica. Think of it as today's internet. And I still have an affinity for libraries. In honor of my family, we will be providing 2 UOG scholarships and an ongoing Carbullido Endowment Fund for UOG. It has been a journey from Agate to the Silicon Valley boardroom. After 38 years, I finally retired from the firm. In addition to governance, my specialty was corporate and partnership tax consulting and compliance. It could be intricate and tedious. However, I found the ability to translate such technical matters in a meaningful way that was crucial for the firm, but more importantly, necessary for the families and businesses that we were working with. Because simple is not easy. For many of us, an education is a path to buying a vehicle, starting a family, purchasing a home, starting a business, paying off debt, having an emergency fund, or enjoying a nice vacation. These are all commendable aspirations. The ask is to also be thoughtful and share your knowledge. My firm does not have titles on our business cards. I'll never forget the first time when I was asked to chair a meeting with the firm's largest client. And I said to the managing partner, "Can we put our titles on our business cards?" And he said, "Why?" I said, "Why? Because this tiny girl from Agate is going to be walking into a boardroom with 5 men behind her, and how are they going to know that I am the partner?" And my mentor said to me, "They'll know you're the partner when you open your mouth and you speak." He was right. Be prepared. Believe in what you know and know what you know. And if you don't know it, it's okay to say you don't know it. You can get back to it later. The path for me has afforded many firsts, many firsts. One of my early individual client meetings was with a Stanford engineer in his home to discuss his NASA expatriate individual tax filings. By the way, there were 5 Guamanians on his team. Just know it. Where there were all these flying machines. He had these high ceilings, and there were all these flying machines. And I was like, "What's with that?" I was so distracted, I had to ask. And his response was, "I'm working with NASA on the stealth bomber." That was a first. Being in Silicon Valley, the firm has many venture capitalists. Meeting with one of my partners, we discussed a particular client. I was managing the real estate work, and she was managing his individual tax work. So I asked how he was doing because they just had a meeting. My partner mentioned his wife had the baby and regretted that he did not have a camera. And he said, "I did have my phone, but I didn't have a camera." She asked what I thought. I was like, "That's ridiculous. Just don't forget your camera." To which he responded, "I'm going to put a camera in a phone." So, you're very welcome for my client not listening to me. Because today it's difficult to not imagine having a camera in your phone. I was meeting with our most significant VC fund client at the time. I had to discuss their investments because we were going to do a financial statement audit. A particular investment seemed unusual, so I inquired. The CFO responded, he said, "Well, it's this platform where people can join together and they can share stories and comments and pictures." And I was like, okay. And he said, "Well, the universities are already doing this right now." It was baffling to me. But this was the entree into social media. Yep, Facebook. Every partner in the firm must support a charitable cause. It's part of our culture. I've had several, from Park Warner football to the Junior League of San Jose. At the time, the Junior League of San Jose had two ways to raise funds for charity. Our biggest revenue raiser was the fashion show. Our second one was the rummage sale, and the rummage sale was not rummage. It was dear to me because many people struggling relied on this rummage sale, and they would line up a day ahead before the event. I brought my young daughter to the rummage sale to help me. It's important to impart the spirit of giving. A common reason to seek experience is for the perception of the experience, and then we can just post it somewhere. But I encourage you to be present, to live and to be present. That's how you're going to enjoy life. And though it may seem life is not easy, it does get easier because you just get stronger. Even if sometimes our path is not linear, that's okay. Over 30 years ago, obviously before the technology that we have today, I was a manager and I informed the partners that I was pregnant and I was going to have my baby in the middle of tax season. They said to me, well, then it's likely you're not going to make partner. It all worked out, though. Our firm has many female partners, managers, directors, and associates. Something I often say to my family is, you don't have to change your values, but you may have to change your argument. Often when a team member would come into my office, it was because something was awry. That's typical. You know, when you go into a partner's office, something's wrong. You get used to it. But I'd always say, I understand the issue, but what do you think we should consider? It's important to be able to define the problem, but it's also important to be able to articulate the solution. While as partner, I would make the final decision, but I would not be the chief problem solver. We acquire our knowledge in a facet of ways, and hopefully we can apply it in a facet of many more ways. You now have an incredible superpower. Apply it in whatever way is meaningful to you, to your families, to your community, to your island, and to the world. Create possibilities and let your light shine. Biba, class of 2024, and Biba your dream.
Si Zeus Maasi, Ms. Henderson.